Hey everybody, I'm starting up the live stream just a little bit early. I am on the road and I thought instead of foregoing the live stream, I would jump in there and do the live stream even though I'm right here on the road. And actually I'm in a place that's a fairly historic spot. This is the Buckaloons Natural Resource Area here in Western Pennsylvania. Hi, Robertine. Buckley, and we are kind of on our way back into town. Hey guys, um, and kind of on a family vacation, and I've spent a lot of time reading this weekend or this whole entire week, and ready to get back at it. So we're headed back home in that direction. Hey guys. Good to see everyone. South Africa looks like a lot of people joining the stream. So welcome everybody. This is the Townsends live. There's from Poland, northeastern Pennsylvania, New York City. Great. Good to see you. I don't have a very specific piece of content today, so this is mostly going to be a kind of shortish because I need to get back out on the road, but it kind of shortish. Hi Germany, hi Virginia Beach and Ohio. Back out on the road from so we can get home tonight. So there's Tennessee, Ohio, Morocco, hey, Iraq, Mexico, a lot of folks chiming in. If you got some particular, well, let's see, what's on the agenda here? We are in late July, early August, and I'm a little behind with my projects this year. Got lots and lots of projects. I just before I left, I had a great conversation with Eric Vostein about a dugout canoe project. We'll be starting really, really soon, so hopefully that'll be coming up. Hey, Texas, Maine, and Washington State, Canada, welcome everyone. I'm really getting excited about that project and continuing to buy tools. We'll probably start on that right at it. Hey, there's someone. There's Florida. Hey, hi everybody. That project is really getting me excited and I can't wait to get in on it. And every time I read a journal, like one more thing adds to, yeah, dugout canoe, it's gonna be good. One more thing kind of adds to that. Just the journal I was reading this last week. I've been reading Heckelwelder's journal, and in fact it has to do with this area right here, where he talks about canoes many different times, and a lot of the times in those journals they talk about canoes and they just say canoe. Generally, a lot of times when they mention canoe like that, they're talking dugout canoe. If they mean like a birch bark canoe or a bark canoe, they'll say it's a bark canoe and they mean something totally different. So dugout canoes are really popular in the 18th century, the 19th century, used by Native Americans and the white settlers alike. So a lot of stuff going on. Let me catch up with the, Paul McKenzie says 18th century fishing. Yeah, that sounds like fun, doesn't it? I'll see what I can do. Is it wrong wearing a bad hat? Is it wrong wearing a bad hat? You don't have a lot of choice. If you're in a kind of outback situation, you still want to be proper. You want to be wearing your hat, but you want to, but you don't want to wear your good hat. Yeah, you're going to wear a hat that may not be really good. Let's see, Indian foods, Indonesia. Thank you for this. Is my standard jacket that I wear. Thank you. 18th century fishing. I've got a couple of different contacts that are people that specialize in 18th century cooking, so I'm hoping to connect with those guys and do that. And I've got a cooking episode that I want to link in with 18th century fishing, so hopefully that will be one that's kind of coming up. All right, almighty potato. Beard styles in the 18th century. So it's been a while. I usually shave when I'm doing catalog pictures because in the 18th century, Western civilization, or especially, let's say, English folks from the 18th century, they did not wear beards. And so generally when I'm doing catalog pictures and a lot of cooking, brewing, yep. When I'm doing a lot of episodes that are kind of a little bit more English oriented, I shave off my beard, but since I've been kind of on a little bit of break and kind of doing backcountry stuff, let my beard grow, so having a lot of, it's nice. It's nice to not have to shave them, because I bleed a lot. Anyway. Somebody's asking about knives. That's a great topic. Yeah, I would keep the beard if I could. Again, having to do with it being more proper to not have a beard. There you go. There you go. Let's see. What have we got? Rope making. Excellent topic. I was just up in um, Erie, Michigan, or Erie, Pennsylvania, at the U.S. Brig Niagara, 1812 brig for fighting the war up there. It was instrumental in winning the Battle of Lake Erie. And they were talking about the rigging on board. And the brig Niagara is a fairly small fighting ship of the 18th or the early 19th century. When that is fully rigged, there's 6 miles of rope on board. You can imagine that rope making was extremely important for what's going on in the 18th and 19th century, and it would be a very, very good topic to cover in depth. Sewing techniques, great, good suggestion. Welcome, live in Illinois, okay. South Africa, hey. Have you been to Old Barracks? I personally have not been there, right by Washington's Crossing. I have not, and I would love to be there. Hey, hello, Norway. Brewing is a really good topic, and I've got a episode or two, a cooking episode or two, where we'll be diving into a little bit more brewing. We touched it in some episodes in the past, especially the ginger beer episodes. You can go back and look for that. So definitely check that out. I have not been to Valley Forge lately. I've been, kind of trapped where we've been in Indiana recently, and we've been doing a lot of stuff down in the Tennessee, Virginia area. So, but haven't been out east. I expect to go out east in the next couple of weeks, though. So, I'll be out east probably 2 weeks from now. Hello, thank you so much, Dakota Burton, for that $5. St. Augustine. It's been a long time since I've been down to Florida. Camping and canoeing history. So we're going to be doing the dugout canoe, and I expect to be doing some shooting and from the canoe and using those canoes, hopefully in several different episodes. And those will be. I'm really excited about that. Boating has always been one of my favorite pastimes, whether it's period or not. So I'm excited about doing that. Have you been to Potato Fort in New Hampshire? Lots of good history. No, I haven't even heard of Potato Fort. Good one. Let's see, what else did we got? Would men have had long hair? Yeah, they would have kept it back. A lot of times in a kind of ponytail, put it back. Very popular for men's hair in the 18th century, especially since a lot of times they were wearing wigs and they would have queues. So a lot of men in the 18th century might not have necessarily been wearing their own hair. They would have had wigs, and those wigs were many times long in the back anyway. So Potato Fort, Fort Ticonderoga. Hey, it's really good to see you. Let's see if we can get a question or two to pop up here. It can be kind of tough for me to. In the 1700s, would corsets or stays have been more common? Well, stays are very, very common for women's clothing in the 18th century. It had to do with the way women wanted to look. So in any kind of setting where it's a dress and they wanted it to look proper, they would have stays. And stays aren't the same as what we kind of think of as a 19th century corset, which was very kind of hourglass shapy and had curves and everything. The stays of the 18th century were a bit more kind of a cone shape idea. Kind of very slimming at the waist and straight up into the bosom. I'm glad I don't have to wear stays, let me tell you. But it's the only way to really make those dresses that they have in the time period look right, is unless you have stays built in. And even other kinds of clothing that didn't have stays, or dresses per se, other kinds of bodices, things would have stay material in them to give them some body. Pirates of the Caribbean, yeah. Spring houses, a really interesting topic. I've never really kind of dug in to see if there's a lot more sort of technology to a spring house other than kind of what you would think would be common sense. Great topic. Did they suffer from, I don't know about that one. Got no clue for you on that one. you should do a Halloween episode. Go back and look in the Townsends thing and look for the zombie episode. It's the closest thing you're going to find to a Halloween episode. Well, last Halloween we had Maggie do her thing about the resurrectionist. You want to check that one out too. So there's a couple different sort of Halloween things going on. Why wasn't it approved to be an actor or an actress in the 18th century? I think that's an age-old kind of stigma that actors and actresses and entertainment industry people in general were not looked upon as very favorable characters, and I'm not sure why that was. I don't have a good why for that, but it certainly was a standard way. They I don't know, maybe it just didn't seem to be maybe as utilitarian as everyone thought that people, their job should be. So that would be my guess there. Different cuisines between the colonies. Whew. The different colonies really had some definite cuisine differences depending on really their ethnic connections. And as you go up and down the colonies along the East Coast, you have all these different ethnic connections because each one of these colonies was kind of constructed by different companies or different areas, and different kinds of people would settle in different spots. So you'll definitely get different cuisine differences because of that, besides issues around what's growing in that area. Ooh, because actors were good at lying. Yeah, interesting idea there. Did deodorant exist back then? I think they used different kinds of things as deodorant, but I haven't done any of that research recently, and I haven't run into any of that, so I don't have a specific good answer for you. Do you know about Port Townsend in Washington? I have certainly heard about Port Townsend, but I have never done any research about it, so I don't have a real good answer for you. Have you ever heard of Rose? Yeah, there's Rose. Somebody liked the zombie video. Good. I don't know what to tell you about that one. Can you explain bloodletting? So, if you go reading in the 18th century medical texts, bloodletting was a very popular relief, medicinal thing that the physicians and barbers would do and it goes much further back than the 18th century. In fact, I think by the 18th century, some of that is sort of being worked out and lessened, the idea that people needed bloodletting a lot. But bloodletting was a very popular way of treating things, and in fact, some medical folks thought that you just made blood all the time and you had to get rid of some of it. And so the bloodletting was a way to kind of relieve the pressure. Maybe if you had a headache, they thought, oh, it's time to relieve some pressure. We're gonna cut this guy open and let some of the blood out. And there was, obviously some very famous people have died just directly connected with bloodletting. George Washington is one of those folks that we know of that bloodletting may have really caused that or been a great downfall in his health. While he was suffering from other things, they did a lot of bloodletting and he died from that. That story is, well, there's a lot of stories about that. So, and it was done by a lot of different kinds of people, barbers and doctors alike. Okay, let me catch up in the stream here. Know of any good great coat patterns or any images of completed patterns? Hello. Really the best way, I don't know about commercial greatcoat patterns that you go out and look for. I think one of the best ways to understand greatcoats is to dig into the images and the artwork that we have around greatcoats. There are a few examples of greatcoats. I think there's one at the Genesee Country Museum. If you go to the museum part, they have a interesting selection of clothing, and there is a greatcoat type item on display there, probably 19th century. There are a few other ones that show up, especially in some in the North America. But if you want to get a glimpse of what's going on with them, take a look at the different kinds of images. Greatcoats show up a lot in paintings and illustrations, and that's kind of a good way to get an idea about what kind of greatcoat you want to make. And then it's sort of find a good coat pattern that's period-wise, and then alter it into a greatcoat. Hello from the Czech Republic. Have you considered doing a web show with a continuing storyline? We've done that, but it was many years ago. We kind of made a movie and then we broke it up into webisodes, and it's no longer available. You know, it was our film school, as it were, and really taught us how to make videos. It's just not something that we release as a show now. So there we go. Let me catch back up into the stream here. Looks like we've got a lot of folks on the stream, and I really want to thank everyone that's jumped into the stream, even though we're a little bit early. Any help from Ivy lately? Ivy has not been in a video lately, but I'm sure she would love to be in one. Since the American Revolution in Boston, hello. And there was weightlifting a thing. They certainly talked about certain kinds of exercise, but it was not very popular, and I don't know if it was looked upon as something entirely healthy in the time period, at least by the general population. So don't have anything besides that. What kind of candy did they have? We've done a couple of different candy-ish episodes. We did the sugar pastilles, which were like little sugar pills that you make up and you flavor. A lot of the things that we think of as candy started out as medicine, especially if you go back further in time periods. Something like what we think of as gingerbread. The original gingerbread was more of like a ginger candy, and that was sort of medicinal. And they had things like electaries, or I'm not sure exactly how you say that, but they were sort of like a lollipop that had medicine in it in the 18th century and earlier time periods. And then they sort of turn into candies as their medicinal properties fall away. We find, oh, they didn't have any medicinal properties at all, but they're yummy, so let's have them anyway. And we also did the episode on candied lime peel, lemon peel, and orange peel for that matter. That's a great episode and very popular, so you can check that one out. Besides using a hourglass, how did they? I think there was, that already popped by. There's so much stuff popping by in the comment stream, it can be tough to catch up here. I'm on a cell phone right now, and so I've only got 3 comments at a time as they pop by. So bear with me, and obviously I don't know what the quality is like today, but I've got my tripod, so hopefully it's better than the last time I tried this. When did they stop believing in witches? I think it really depends on the culture. And I mean, obviously, there are probably some places in different places in the world where that's still a thing, and they're still very concerned about that. But that was certainly going away and wasn't nearly as much of an issue in the 18th century, but it certainly was an issue in the 17th century. In fact, one of my ancestors in the 17th century was accused of being a witch. I think, can't remember what the story was, but they may have actually killed her. I think she was like 80 or 90 years old. So there you go. Yeah, so okay, good. Thank you for piping up about the quality there. Yeah, recall any specific varieties of hops that were popular back in the 18th century? I know there's some English hops varieties. Is it Kent one of them? I'm not sure. That are still available today. I'm not sure if you can really guess or know that even if we have sort of the same variety of hops today, that if the name is the same, if it's really the same as it was back then. It's one of those things that I guess we'll never quite know about the varieties of plants and like apples or other kinds of vegetables, and how the varieties kind of change over time. You can imagine 200 years ago, am I hot today? Not really. Actually, it's a beautiful day here in Pennsylvania. It might be 75, 76 degrees. And once you get used to wearing wool all the time, you get used to it. It's not a big deal. We'll be doing somebody's asking about beer making, brewing. We'll be touching on some brewing here again in, I don't know when I get to it. Um, I'm not sure exactly. Where in Pennsylvania? We're in extreme western Pennsylvania, close to Warren and the Allegheny National Forest. South Carolina, 100 degrees. Oh, I'm glad I'm not there wearing this coat at 100 degrees. Again, wow. On the subject of beer, what are the local hops? Sorry, got nothing on there. As it is, featuring a species of Swedish. Oh boy. I'll have to go back and Charlotte. I'll have to go back in and look at the stream when I'm back at the shop and check out your comment there, because it's hard for me to react to it really, really quickly. How to deal with the heat wearing all the wool in the 18th century? So here I am. I'm wearing wool. It could be warm. It could be 100 degrees outside. And many times in a working situation where somebody's, say, working out in the field, they would take off their coat. They might even take off their waistcoat and be working in just their shirt. But that is a situation where that's a hardworking person. They're actively engaged in work, and so they might not be wearing their full outfit. But if somebody isn't actively engaged in their work, then they would be wearing a waistcoat and even likely a coat on top of that, even if it was hot outside. And what kind of happens with this is that your linen shirt that you have on underneath here starts to get soaked in sweat, and it becomes just wet, completely wet. And the wool on top slowly lets that liquid evaporate, and it's slowly cooling you off. And I think it's just also a matter of you kind of get used to a normal. And if you're normally used to a particular temperature, you deal with it. And just like somebody down in Florida, you might, you're from Canada and you go down to Florida and it's terribly hot down here. And somebody in Florida is like, this is a nice, wonderful 85-degree day. So once you get used to something like that, you get used to it. How sharp did they keep their axes and hatchets? As sharp as they could. If you've ever been working with tools, you know that the sharper that tool is, the faster and easier it works. You have to put a lot less effort into the work you do, and so you would try to have, if you use a tool a lot, you'll want to have that as sharp as possible. And there were even times, I think it's in Cresswell's journal, one of the journals where they're going out in as a group, and they actually stop at a particular place, and he mentions that they all sharpened. There was sharpening tools there, like a grinding wheel, probably a wet wheel, and they all sharpened their things before they went into the wilderness. They took advantage of that whenever they had that possibility. So let's see, what time is it? It is 23 minutes into the stream, and I am gonna go ahead and kind of, I'm gonna have to call this because I need to get back out on the road. But I definitely wanted to get in here because we always do a live stream on Friday. Thank you so much for the $10 there. I'm sorry your thing popped by already, but thank you for that. I really enjoy getting in here on the live streams and doing this. It's fun to connect with everybody in this sort of immediate way. And when I get a chance, and watch for the live streams as we're coming up. Hopefully there'll be some fun changes coming into the live stream in the next 2, 3, 4 weeks. We're working on some new ideas, and we're kind of working on some new guests popping in. Thank you guys again for all your just tremendous support. We've had a bunch of people pop into the stream here. I even started it a little too early. I'm sure a lot of people are like, hey, you know what? Why did it come early? I missed it. But again, I kind of have to squeeze things into my schedule as I'm out on the road. And I did, even though I was on vacation, I still shot a couple videos because I had to. Things kind of pop into my mind. It's like, got to shoot a video on this. So one of the neat things here about, it's probably a good 30 miles from where I'm at right now, but there's a little chunk of old growth forest, and It was so tremendous to go walking through this old growth forest here on the eastern side of the Mississippi. You don't find very many places where you can run into 2, 3, 400-year-old trees that are, 100 feet tall, 200, 150 feet tall, and just huge trees. There was this beautiful little pocket here in the Allegheny National Forest. If you're ever in this area, make sure to check it out. Just a tremendous spot. And I shot a couple videos there. They're a lot of fun. So make sure to watch the channel in the next couple weeks. Let's see, what's coming up on Monday? Is Aaron in the stream? Aaron, what's on Monday? I think I'm making something again. Not food. I think it's I think we chopped down a tree or something. So make sure to check out Monday's episode. We'll be having a lot of fun, and that was yeah, I remember doing that episode. Oilcloth, yes. Oh, we're going to be doing oilcloth. Oh, well, there you go. Monday's episode is on oilcloth. A lot of folks asked about oilcloth, and we'll be doing an episode on oilcloth on Monday. Make sure to check that out. And I want to thank everyone, especially those folks that donated today. We had a couple people. But I want to thank everyone for all your great support on the channel here. Why don't you post completed streams on YouTube channel anymore? If you guys are interested in getting more of the completed streams turned in to a public stream, I'm just not sure how many people are interested in that, and they can be kind of hard to title. That's one of the reasons why we don't do that. But we can try to get more of those turned into public streams. We'll see. Anyway, thank you guys for all your support. Thank you for all you do, sharing our videos and supporting us in all the different kinds of ways you do. See you guys later. Thank you so much. And we'll see you on Monday with the episode on oilcloth. See you later. Bye.